Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're getting into something that's, well, super common for millions gaming. A great hobby, right?
Absolutely. So many people love it.
But it can sometimes, slide into something more serious. We're talking about gaming addiction.
Yeah, and we're digging into this using a podcast script called Game Over, Reclaiming Life from Gaming Addiction as our main source today.
It's a really important conversation to have, I think. We hear tons about the good stuff, community
Sure,
skills.
the cognitive benefits, the social side, but we also need to understand the potential dark side, the addiction angle. It's about balance.
Definitely. And this script, it really highlights the dangers through one specific story, a guy named Mark.
Ah, yes, Mark's story. It's quite central to the script.
He started playing World of Warcraft, while the W year back around 2012.
Mhm.
Just wanted to unwind after work. Seems harmless enough.
That's often how it starts, doesn't it? Just a way to switch off.
But, uh-oh, things took a turn. Pretty dramatic, actually.
Yeah, the script describes a really stark escalation. Within just a couple of years, his casual gaming, it ballooned. We're talking 18 hours a day.
18 hours, that's almost hard to picture.
It really is. Think about it. That's more time than a full-time job plus commute for most people.
And the consequences were huge. Life-changing, really. Lost his job.
His wife left him.
And the kids,
Mm.
the script says they barely knew him. He was just always in the game.
Heartbreaking, isn't it? It just shows how something that starts as fun can really take over everything.
It really makes you wonder, how does that happen? How does a hobby become that?
Yeah.
What's the tipping point?
Exactly. What are the mechanics behind it? That's really what we want to unpack in this deep dive, using Mark's story from the script as a guide.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning for Mark. The script says his motivation for playing WoW initially was simple. Blow off steam after work.
Totally relatable. Lots of people have a hobby that does that for them, whether it's gaming, sports, reading.
But wow, and games like it offer something specific, right? The script mentions rewarding guilds, achievements.
Oh, definitely. These massive online games are great at providing escapism and, crucially, a sense of accomplishment. You achieve things in the game.
Things that maybe felt more significant than real life.
Potentially, yes. Especially if real life feels complicated or, less rewarding at that moment. You get clear goals, measurable progress, social validation within the guild. It's powerful stuff.
And the script points out this moment where things flipped. It wasn't him choosing to play anymore. The game kind of started controlling him.
That's the classic shift, isn't it? Loss of control. It moves from wanting to play for fun to feeling like you have to play, a compulsion.
Even when things are falling apart around you.
Especially then, sometimes. You know the consequences are bad, losing your job, your family, but you feel powerless to stop. That's the nature of addiction.
Wow. Okay, then the script describes this real aha moment for Mark. Or maybe more like a punch to the gut.
Yeah, what was that?
His daughter. She drew a family picture for school.
Okay.
And Mark wasn't in it. When the teacher asked why, she just said, "Daddy lives in the computer."
Oh, man, that's rough.
Isn't it? Just devastating. Imagine hearing that about yourself from your own child.
That's a wake-up call, if ever there was one. It paints such a clear, stark picture of his disconnect from his actual family. The human cost, right there.
It really brings it home. And it makes sense then that gaming addiction is being taken more seriously now. The script mentions it's officially recognized by the World Health Organization.
Yes, the WHO included gaming disorder in the ICD-11. That's a big deal. It means the medical world formally acknowledges that, yeah, for some people, gaming behavior can become a serious health condition.
So it's not just playing too much, there are actual symptoms.
Right. The script outlines some key ones. Things like losing control over gaming, prioritizing it over everything else, work, school, relationships, even basic hygiene sometimes.
Ignoring responsibilities, basically.
Exactly, and continuing to game despite knowing it's causing problems. Lying about how much you play is another common sign.
And withdrawal, like actual withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah, feeling irritable, anxious, or just really down when you can't play. It shares features with other addictions, even substance abuse.
That's serious stuff. Now, the script raises a good point. Lots of things are engaging, right? Binge watching a show, getting lost in a book. What makes games different? Why are they potentially more addictive?
That's a great question. The interactivity is key. You're not just passively consuming, you're doing things, making choices, getting feedback constantly.
Like rewards and stuff.
Exactly. And games are masters at tapping into the brain's reward system. The script mentions dopamine release, that feel-good chemical. Games can trigger it really effectively, quests, loot drops, leveling up. It creates this loop.
A loop that keeps you coming back.
Precisely. Plus, many games are designed for flow, that state where you're totally absorbed, you lose track of time, it feels good, so you chase it.
And games like WoW. The script says they're designed to be basically endless.
That's a huge factor. There's always something more to do. Another level, another piece of gear, another raid. No natural stopping point, unlike a movie or a book.
It keeps you constantly chasing the next thing.
Right. And the design uses psychological tricks. The script uses the analogy of a casino in your PC.
Yeah, I like that. What does that mean exactly?
Well, think about slot machines. Variable rewards, near misses, anticipation. Games use similar mechanics. Random loot drops, uncertain quest outcomes. It keeps you hooked, hoping for that next big win or reward. It can be quite manipulative, actually.
Like gambling, but with orcs and magic instead of cards and cash.
Kind of, yeah. The script mentions a therapist made that comparison for Mark. The underlying behavior, the compulsion, the chase can be very similar.
So when Mark went into rehab, what did they find triggered his addiction? Was it just the game itself?
The script suggests it was more complex. He identified using gaming to cope with anxiety.
Ah, so an underlying issue.
Very common. Addictions often start or worsen as a way to self-medicate or escape from things like anxiety, depression, stress, loneliness. The game becomes a refuge.
But a refuge that ultimately makes things worse?
In the long run, absolutely. It doesn't solve the underlying problem, and it creates a whole host of new ones.
Okay, so rehab. Did they tell him he could never game again? Total abstinence.
Interestingly, no, not necessarily. According to the script, the focus for Mark was more on learning moderation, finding a healthy balance.
That sounds maybe more realistic for some people, especially with something so integrated into modern life.
It can be. For behavioral addictions, unlike maybe substance addictions, where abstinence is often the goal, learning controlled engagement is sometimes a viable path, but it requires a lot of work and self-awareness.
And it seems to have worked for Mark. Based on the script, he's down to about 5 hours a week.
Yeah, a huge reduction from 18 hours a day. And the really positive sign is that he now plays with his kids.
Oh, that's fantastic. Talk about turning things around.
It really is. It shows gaming being reintegrated healthfully as a shared activity, not an isolating obsession, rebuilding those family bonds.
So what did rehab actually involve? The script mentioned a digital detox.
Yeah, that's often a first step, removing the trigger. Getting distance, sometimes literally removing the console or PC for a while.
Okay, break the cycle.
And then combining that with therapy. Lots of therapy.
To deal with the anxiety or whatever else was going on.
Exactly. To understand the roots of the addiction, develop healthier coping strategies, work on social skills if they've atrophied, deal with loneliness or depression. It's a whole person approach.
Makes sense. You have to treat the cause, not just the symptom.
Precisely.
Okay, this leads perfectly into a listener question we got. This came from @PixelQueen on social media. How do I know if I'm addicted? I bet a lot of listeners are wondering this.
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And a really important one. The script gives some practical things to look out for. Well, the big one is gaming negatively impacting your life? Your job performance slipping? Grades dropping? Are you neglecting responsibilities at home?
Skipping sleep to play. Fighting with your partner about it.
Exactly. If it's consistently causing problems in major life areas, that's a huge red flag.
Yeah.
If you're lying about how much you play, that's another sign. If you feel really agitated or down when you can't play.
That withdrawal thing again.
Right. It's about whether the gaming is controlling you rather than you controlling the gaming.
The script had a funny but maybe telling sign, too, about pets.
Oh, yeah, that your pet mostly knows you as the person illuminated by the screen glow.
Yeah. It's humorous, but it kind of speaks to being detached from the physical world around you, doesn't it?
It really does. A little indicator of how much time you might be spending immersed elsewhere.
We got another related question, too. Can mobile games be addictive, too? People might think addiction is just for those big, immersive PC or console games.
Oh, absolutely. Mobile games can be addictive. The script specifically mentions games like Candy Crush.
Right, those seemingly simple puzzle games.
They are masters of addictive design. Easy to pick up, short gameplay loops, constant little rewards, social pressure, microtransactions. They're built for sustained engagement. And yes, that can definitely tip into obsession or addiction for some.
Plus, they're always there. In your pocket.
Exactly. The accessibility is incredibly high, which can make them even more insidious in some ways.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Tracing Mark's journey from casual player to addict, to recovery and looking at the mechanisms behind it all. As we wrap up, what's the main takeaway here?
I think Mark's story is a really potent illustration that, well, anything enjoyable can potentially become problematic if the balance is lost. It highlights the need for self-awareness about our habits.
Yeah, it's not demonizing gaming itself, is it? It's about finding that healthy place for it.
Precisely. Games can be wonderful, fun, social, stimulating, but it's crucial to stay in control, to make sure it's adding to your life, not taking away from it.
Keep it as a conscious choice, not a compulsion.
That's the key. And if you're listening and you feel concerned about yourself or someone else, please reach out.
Yeah, don't ignore those feelings. The script doesn't list specific resources, but help is available. Talking to a doctor, a therapist, looking for support groups, it's a sign of strength.
Absolutely. Getting help is the first step towards getting back that balance.
So maybe a final thought to leave everyone with. Something to chew on.
Well, games are designed, often brilliantly, to engage you, to pull you in, to keep you playing. That's their job, in a way.
Right, to be captivating.
But the thought I'd leave you with is this. Make sure that while you're busy playing the game isn't ultimately playing you.
That's good. Be mindful of how these powerful experiences fit into your actual life.
Exactly. Know the power they have and choose your engagement wisely.